everyone, this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make this pyramid bead stud bracelet. I'm calling it the Cleopatra bracelet simply because I couldn't think of anything better to call it. Egypt, Cleopatra, pyramids, you know. Anyway, this bracelet that I have made measures out exactly 7.5 inches. Now, if you want a smaller bracelet, you will subtract. Like if you want a 6.5, you will subtract exactly probably 1 unit of right angle weave, because this is a right angle weave embellished. In this one, I used a couple of different colors of 6mm bicones to make my base. In this one, I used one color of 6mm bicones, and it's the Montana Sapphire in this one. This is the color we'll be using today simply because I only bought one package of these. I really like these. I'm going to have to get some more, but I have several more of these, so I'm going to use this color today. And like I said, you will just subtract 1 unit if you want to make your bracelet smaller. If you want to make it bigger, add a unit. This will come out to be exactly 7.5 inches. Of course, the consideration is upon the size of your clasp. My clasp will take up from the last unit all the way to the end about 1 inch, because you will always measure your round part right in the middle. So it takes up 1 inch on either side. So you will leave 2 inches for accommodation of your clasping. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to give you the numbers of beads today for a 7.5 inch bracelet, and you can adjust from there. Let's show you what you'll need. Let's move in here, or out, I mean. Okay. So what we're going to use for beads today is you'll need 24 4mm bicone crystals. I'm using a 4mm clear Swarovski crystal. You will need a 15-0 seed bead. You will need altogether 34 6mm bicone crystals. I am also using 6mm Swarovski crystals. I'm using a pale pink and a Colorado topaz. And then for the top, for the top embellishment here, I've picked out a little combination. I have lavender, pink, and the topaz color, and I have 2 of each. But all together there will be 36, 14 of one color, 14 of the other, because I'm using 2 colors in my base, and then your little 6 top beads there. Then you will need 6, 7, or 8 pyramid, 2-hole pyramid Czech pyramid stud beads. This is a bronze Lumi, bronze Lumi 2-hole 8mm stud. And then you will need an 8-0 seed bead. I'm using a Czech seed bead. This is just kind of an iris mix with a lot of purple in it. I'm going to kind of just pick out the purples. It's just what I want to go with my bracelet I'm making. And then you will need an 11-0 seed bead, and the 11-0 I am using today is a Toho clear silver lined. You will need 2 4mm in diameter jump rings, 2 wire guardians, and a toggle clasp. And that's what we'll need. So we will get started with this project. Let me readjust everything here. And today I'm going to use 10-pound Fireline in the smoke color. And the reason I'm using 10-pound is that this weave can be, the pyramid beads are kind of heavy, just a little bit awkward. And they kind of need a little bit more of a stiffness to them. I used a 10-pound in this one, and it turned out really nice and neat and sturdy, whereas this one I used an 8-pound, and it's just a little bit, the beads slide around a little bit more. So though I should probably use a crystal color for the ones I'm doing today, I'm going to use a smoke because that's the only one I have in 10-pound. Now if you want to use an 8-pound, that's fine. You'll have to sew through them a few more times just to make them a little bit more steady. So thread on and I'm using a size 10 needle. Thread on a comfortable length of 10-pound Fireline, or 8 if you feel like you need to use 8. And we'll get started. We're going to start with crystals and 8/0s. So we're going to pick up, I'm going to pick up a pink, an 8/0, a topaz, an 8/0, a pink, an 8/0, and a topaz, and an 8/0. So you will have on your needle 4 crystals and 4 8/0s. Start with a crystal, end with an 8/0. Bring them down to the end of your thread. And just leave a short tail, you won't need a long one. And tie them in a circle. This is what you should have. Back off just a little bit. Now I'm going to sew back through these to reinforce them. Once I get all the way around to my knot, I'm going to go around one more time, all the way up until I get to the opposite 8/0 seed bead from the one where my thread is coming out of. And you can see the smoke Fireline through the crystals quite a bit. We'll see if it looks terrible. I'll change it. Okay. Then we're going to come up through this 8/0 seed bead. Like this. Now, we are going to add our pyramid. You're going to have on your needle an 11/0, an 8/0, and an 11/0. And then you will pick up a pyramid, and we're going to put the pyramid on top of our little right angle weave unit we've made. So kind of just figure out where your holes are here and go through one side, and then pick up an 11/0, an 8/0, and an 11/0, just like this. And then we are going to go through the next 8/0 seed bead. But it looks like we should go through the back here. If you look, get you real close so you can see what I'm talking about. Probably not that close. If you look at where my thread is coming out, it looks like I should go through the back of this bead. I don't want to do that. I'm going to go through the front of it so that I can then slide through my crystal and keep my thread path going one direction instead of crossing it and going the other direction. And this will also make the top embellishment look as if there's a swirl instead of them just coming straight in. They'll kind of swirl. Now, we're going to go through this 8/0 here. Pull tight. Don't want any slack in your embellishment here. Pick up an 11/0, an 8/0, and an 11/0 on your needle. And then go through the pyramid bead on top here. Pull tight. And then again, pick up an 11/0, an 8/0, and an 11/0 onto your needle, just like this. And then we will go through this 8/0 here, right here. We will come through this side, the back side of it, so that we can keep our thread going in the same direction we have been traveling in. Well, come here. And we will go through the crystal next to it also. And pull. Tighten everything up. And this is what you should have so far. Let's get this here to see what you have. Just like this. Now, we are coming out of this crystal here. Right here. We're going to go up through the 8/0 seed bead next to it. Now, we're going to make a little link in between units here. So we're going to make a right angle weave unit of just 8/0s and 11/0s. So since we're coming out of an 8/0, that will be our fourth 8/0. We'll be working with 4 8/0s and 4 11/0s. So we have one already. So we're going to pick up an 11/0, an 8/0, an 11/0, an 8/0, an 11/0, an 8/0, 11/0, just like this. So we will have 3 8/0s and 4 11/0s. Start with an 11/0, end with an 11/0, and then we will come through the opposite side that our thread is coming out of in the 8/0 here, and pull. Now we will sew all the way around this unit again, just to make our link nice and secure, tight and strong. So we're going to go ahead and sew all the way back through each and every bead, and back through the 8/0 that's anchored onto the unit, and pull. Now I'm coming out of the anchoring 8/0 seed bead. I want to come out of this seed bead in front here so that I can make my next unit. So I will sew up through this 8/0, 11/0, and this 8/0 right here. And now I am ready to start my next unit. Now I have an 8/0 that I'm working out of, so I will start picking up my crystals for my base. And I will need, I'm going to do the opposite of what bead is here. So I have a topaz here, so I'm going to pick up a pink first. I will have my 4 crystals and 3 8/0s because my last 8/0 is already on my piece of work here. So I'm going to drop them down and come through the 8/0 on the opposite side that my thread is exiting, and pull, bring them into a circle. And now I will sew all the way around this unit. I will sew all the way around this unit and reinforce it. And then after I've sewn all the way around, I will sew halfway back up and exit this 8/0 here. So turn it over. See, if you don't get really good tension, the bracelet will just be kind of mushy. It won't have any real form to it. So I've gone all the way around. Now I'm coming back up. This is the bottom that I'm sewing through here. Now I'm going to come through the very last 8/0 right here in front. And I'm going to start to anchor my pyramid bead. So now I will pick up an 11/0, an 8/0, and an 11/0 onto my needle. And then I will pick up a pyramid bead. I will find my holes in my pyramid bead so that they will lay like this. So I want this side here, and I'm going to come through with my needle and then I will pick up another set of 11 O's and 1 8-0. 2 11 O's and an 8-0, just like this. And then, as before, on this side, our thread is coming out right here. It seems like we should go through this 8-0 this way, but we're not going to. We're going to go through the 8-0 this way, and also we are going to go through the next crystal. I just dropped all my beads, excuse me. So I'm going to go this way and up through the crystal and pull. Nice tight tension, and you can just fold your pyramid back over the top if you'd like. Now, this 8-0 seed bead right here is the one that we need to come out of next, so we're just going to go right through that connecting 8-0 seed bead and pull our thread. Pick up an 11-0, an 8-0, and an 11-0, and then we will slide through the next set of holes on the pyramid bead and pull. And again, we're coming out of this side. Seems like we should go into the 8-0 this way, but we will want to come through the 8-0 on this side. So we will pick up our set of 11-0, 8-0, 11-0, and then we will sew through this 8-0 and the next crystal to work our way up to the front connecting 8-0 so that we can make our next little link. Coming through the back instead of coming through where it looks like you should come through the crystals kind of gives your embellishment a swirl. As you bring your 11-0s and 8-0s up to your pyramid, it kind of swirls it. It's kind of a nice little effect. Plus it keeps you going, your thread path going in the same direction instead of turning around so many different ways that you'll have to sew through your beads continually. Now we're coming out of this crystal here. We need to come out of this 8-0 here. This will be a connection to our link. So we will make our link stitch again, which is, we'll start with an 11-0 and we will pick up 4 11-0s and 3 8-0s, starting with an 11-0, ending with an 11-0. So get all those beads on your needle. This is what it'll look like. And then we will come through the opposite side that our thread is exiting on our 8-0 bead and pull. And now we will sew all the way through this unit again. So you want these links to have strength. Bracelets get kind of beat around, they get caught on things, so each link needs to be strong. So we will just go all the way around all of our beads. Until we need to work our way back up to our end 8-0 seed bead here. Right here. Okay, so then we will start again with our crystals. Right here. Excuse me, I was out of frame. We will start again with our crystals. We will put on our 4 crystals, our 3 8-0s, come back through, and then make the embellishment, and we will do that until we have 7 units. Or if you're making a bigger bracelet, 8 units. If you're making a smaller bracelet, 6 units. And we will be back at that point. I have finished my 7 units of right angle weave with the pyramid embellishment on top. I made my last link of 11-0s and 8-0s coming out of the pyramid embellishment, and now I have reinforced it, and instead of coming through the top 8/0 seed bead here, I am exiting this little 11/0. Let me show you what I mean here. So generally we would make our attachment into our 8/0 that's on our right angle weave unit here, and we would sew all the way around and then come out of this bead with our, after we've reinforced. Now we're going to just come out of the 11/0. We're not going to go into the 8/0 seed bead, and we're going to attach our clasp on this end. Now that we're here and that the end is available, I like to just go ahead and get that done. So what we will do is we will pick up an 11/0 seed bead, an 8/0 seed bead, and our wire protector, and run up one end of the wire protector. And this wire protector is being stubborn. Okay. Drop it down. Sew through the other side of the wire protector. Squeeze it with your forefinger and thumb and guide your thread into the divot on top. Go down into the 8/0 seed bead, but not the 11/0 that you just added, and pull. Now pick up another 11/0 seed bead and come down through the 11/0 on the other side of the 8/0 in your link, right here. And come through the 11/0 underneath the 8/0 also there. And then sew into the connecting 8/0. Oops. Here. Got one of my 11/0s too, that's fine. And so back up through, and then you will just go directly from the 11/0 on top of the 8/0 in your link into the 11/0, the 8/0, around the wire guardian, back down around, and do that a couple of times to secure the wire guardian, and we'll be back. So I have secured my clasp, or not my clasp, actually just my wire guardian. It's prepared for my clasp. I'm not going to put it on right now, but at least my wire guardian is on and it's ready. And I am now exiting out of just the 8/0 seed bead here inside the anchoring one from my right angle weave unit. Sorry, I can't speak for some reason, but I'm coming out of this 8/0 seed bead right here in my unit. And now I'm going to sew up through this first crystal, the 8/0, and the second crystal here. After you've slid through this crystal here, then you will go into the 8/0 seed bead on this side of the unit. So basically you've gone from the very last 8/0 around into the 8/0 on the other side. Now this bracelet is pretty like this, but it's top heavy because of the pyramids. So I decided I wanted to make it wider. So the way that I'm going to do that is by adding some 4mm crystals, a little embellishment to make it wider. So the way we're going to do that is by picking up a 15/0 seed bead and a 4mm crystal, a 15/0 crystal, and a 15/0. This is what you will have on your thread. And now you are going to come into the 8/0 seed bead that connects the link to the next unit, this 8/0 right here. And you're going to pull, and your little 4mm crystals are just going to make a little V shape, just like that. And now we're on the other side, so we are going to pick up a 4mm crystal, a 15, a 4mm crystal, and a 15. Just like that. And now we're going to go into the 8mm crystal that connects to the first unit. So we're just working in these little 8mm or 8/0 seed beads, not crystals, that connect the link to the units of right angle weave. So we're just going to go straight through that one. I'm trying to move my 15/0 aside here. I don't want that in the way. There we go. And we're going to pull. Tighten up both sides of your little embellishment now. And then now we are going to start putting on our little crystal in the middle here too. This is going to be all done in one unit at a time here. So we've got our 4mm crystals on. We're coming out of this 8/0 seed bead on top here. We are going to now pick up a 15/0 seed bead. Now I'm going to arrange my top crystals. I'm going to make a different color, so I'm going to arrange them like this. I'm going to do a topaz, a lavender, and pink. And then a pink, a topaz, and a lavender, just like that. So I'm going to pick up my topaz and another 15/0. This is what I have. And I am going to now again go into the 8mm bead on the other side. Now I'm coming out of this side of the 8/0 seed bead. So I need to come out, go into the opposite side on the opposite 8/0 seed bead. So just move all your 15/0s aside and your crystals and come through that 8/0 seed bead and pull. Tighten everything up. And that is what that should look like. And now we are able to sew up through the crystal. On this side here, we will go through. Sometimes it's easier if you just turn it over so you can see what you're doing. You will go through the crystal, the 8/0, and then we will go through the next crystal, right here. And this positions us to go back into our next connecting 8/0 seed bead here. So we want to get into the connecting seed bead, pull, make sure everything's straightened up, because once you get pretty far down the line you can't change it. Pick up a 15/0, a 4mm crystal, a 15/0, a 4mm crystal, and a 15/0. Just like that. And then go through the connecting 8/0 seed bead. Sometimes it's a little difficult to see them. Just have to move your beads aside here. You don't want to go into anything but the 8/0, I mean, and pull. And then your little crystals will lay there just nice and pretty. And then pick up a 15, a crystal, a 15, a 4mm crystal, and a 15. Come back through the other side of the connecting 8/0. And pull. And now I'm going to pick up, how do I say I want that? My lavender 6mm, and I'm going to pick up a 15/0, 6mm, and a 15/0. I'm coming out of this side of the 8/0 seed bead down in there, and I'm going to go into this side of the 8/0 seed bead, connecting my next unit. And pull. Lay it on top. And that's what that'll look like. And you just continue doing that all the way down until you get to the end, and then we will make a link at the end and attach our wire guardian. So just continue putting your top embellishment on, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have finished all the way to my very last link here, and I'm going to do that embellishment and show you how to work your way up to the end here. We'll add one more link and our wire guardian. So let's pick up a 15 and a 4mm crystal, a 15, a 4mm crystal, and a 15. And we will slide into the connecting 8/0 on top here. And pull. And then, I need some more 15s, sorry, not prepared. Okay. Then I will pick up my combination of 15s and 4mm crystals for the other side. And come through the connecting 8/0 on this side. And pull. And now I will pick up a 15, my last 6mm crystal, and a 15. I'm coming out of the bottom here. I need to go into the top of the other connecting crystal, or not crystal, but 8/0 seed bead, and pull. Pull him into place. And then I need to sew up through this crystal and 8/0. And crystal. And the 8/0 on the very end. Now, if you'd like, you can go ahead and cut off your tail, or you can sew it back through. I'm going to leave it now because I kind of like to sew them back in before I cut them off. It just makes me feel more secure. So let's back off a little actually. Now I'm all the way to the end of my bracelet, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did on the other side, but we don't have a link here yet. So we need to make a link. So we need to pick up our 11/0, 8/0, 11/0, 8/0, 11/0, 8/0, and 11/0. Just like that. And then we will come back through the connecting 8/0 on the bottom here. And now that we have that, we will sew all the way around this little link here, and then we will come out one of the 11/0s on either side of the 8/0 here, and add an 11/0 and 8/0 wire guardian, 11/0, and then just secure it exactly as we did the other side, and we'll be back. Also, sew in your tail and cut it off. Alright, so now I have completely secured my little link and put on my wire guardian, and then I sewed through the bottom and just tied off and cut my working thread off, sewed my tail through and cut it off, and now my bracelet is pretty much complete. We just have to add a jump ring and a clasp. So we're just going to open the jump ring from side to side, slide it onto the wire guardian, slide on the clasp and close the jump ring. And do the same on the other side. These jump rings aren't cut very evenly. I'll have to mess with them later. Cut the ends again. Sometimes you get jump rings where the ends are cut not quite right, and you'll have to cut them yourself so that they line up perfectly. These are definitely going to need that. So anyway, this is what it looks like when it's all finished. Here are all three of them together. We'll zoom in and take a close look. These are amazingly pretty. They are just sparkly and shiny, and just you want to keep looking at them because the layered effect makes them just look very complicated. I had a friend at work the other day. I was wearing this one and she picked it up and she said, "That gives me a headache. It's so complicated. How did you do that?" Well, you know how we did it, and it's really not that complicated. It just looks like it. But this is what they look like. This is the one we just did. This is the one with the sapphire. And this is the other. And I will show you what they look like on. Let's back up a little bit here. One more look. Very, very pretty bracelets. And there they are, all three together. Here's how the clasping looks. And they're just absolutely shiny and lovely and yummy. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Make yourself some. Bye-bye.